Yo, Hendel here, the Average Use Slow Pitch. Today, we're bringing out the all-new Pure Competitive Edge Ervine, and then the actual, obviously, Competitive Edge itself. This is going to be a 12-inch half-ounce end load. The Ervine's the 12-inch full-ounce end load. So we're out here hitting at Dona Ana. We've been having some issues with field reservations again lately. Hopefully, we'll get back to Apodaca, kind of our normal baseball field. But the nice part is, we're going to do another kind of two-part with these. So today, our goal, we got 5 guys out here, is going to get about 150 swings on each of these. Once that's done, we'll take it back home, do kind of the the compression either at home or even just before our second set of swings on Sunday. Hopefully again out at Apodaca. Today you're not going to see the velo during this first 150 purely because we've got the cell tower issues that we've mentioned before out here, where it causes a bunch of kind of jamming issues with the pocket radar. But if we can get out to Apodaca on Sunday, we'll have it, obviously the radar back up. If not, then the plan will be to take these home at the very end once we kind of know where they're testing and do the kind of 20-ish swings on each back at the garage or wherever I find that I can kind of do those T-velo swings. So again, when we're out here, we've got 330 down the line. To the left field gap, we're at about 360 to 370. Dead center's 415, and there's a spot right there in the middle where it's marked out about 395. Down the right field line, we're still at 330, but then that right center gap's 371. We've got a little bit of a breeze kind of blowing in towards the first base bleachers. Nothing too crazy. It's 80 degrees. By the time we're done, we're expecting to only get to about 85, but it's still warm enough that hopefully we'll get through these swings to having to kind of pick up the balls, because the ones that stay in the bag typically don't get cooked the way we've got it kind of set up. But if we need a few extra swings, we're expecting the balls to get a little softer than normal, but that's where kind of part 2 comes in. So let's get some swings on these. We're real excited to see how they perform, especially after swinging that Lambright. Let's go see how these test and then how they perform. All right, let's see where our peers test. We're starting with the Tyler Ervine. This is the 12-inch barrel full ounce end load. If it's anything like the Lambright, we're expecting a little over 250. Yeah, more like 260, 265. We'll throw a bunch of swings on it like we did last time with the Lambright and kind of go from there. Then we've got the actual Competitive Edge CE. This is a 12-inch barrel half-ounce end load, and realistically should be generally the same tech, so we'd expect kind of the same thing compression-wise. And same thing there. So both of these we're going to try to get at least 100 plus swings on today, and then as needed we might do a second session like we do with the Lambright. Okay. That was lower towards the hands. I mean, it came off good, but you can tell just by a little bit of that sting.
Good sweet spot feeling right there, man.
Yeah, with some of the sound, I think that was either sweet spot or pretty at least close, you know what I mean? That's a sweet spot though. Nothing knuckled to like nearly 300 feet. That's the sweet spot.
I feel like there's different sounds as you rotate it, you know, but
yeah.
But all in all,
Yeah, there's the sweet spot though. It's got a good feel. Feels pretty forgiving for the most part, at least on the hands. That's a shot.
sweet spot again right there. That's good.
Yeah, you can hear it and ball carries. Yeah, so through my first 10 swings, I felt like I was hitting the sweet spot at first. It felt good, whatnot, but that was definitely, you can tell a whole different feel when you get it, because that was the sweet spot. Push right through this wind, easy. So while it's forgiving and you get good performance, if you catch the no-kidding sweet spot right now at about the 130-ish swing mark, you can still tell And I think just like the Lambrite broke in a little bit faster. I know it started lower compression, but at the 140-ish 50 swing mark, Lambrite felt a little better than this one feels so far. But sweet spot on this is still great, and I'm sure this has tons of potential as that compression comes down a little bit and we open up the barrel more.
That helped a little bit.
So that's 3.
Yeah, man, it's good, man. Good control.
Yeah, there's the sweet spot. Just, it feels great off of that part. Oh, we're locked in now. Ish. Found a sweet spot. Woo, nice shot.
Yeah.
Dude, on a line at 340. Yeah, so it's about a little more, but so far everyone feels good. Like you mentioned, good sweet spot, mostly forgiving, no issues on the hands. Even with these balls kind of cooking a little bit more and whatnot, we're right at 150 swings. We'll test it here in a little while, pretty much when we get home, and then we'll come back out for kind of part 2, get to 250-ish swings, maybe more depending on compression, but here on Sunday. Woo, look at that knuckleball. Back-to-back knuckleballs. We'll have a whole round of knuckleballs.
That one felt good too.
Oh, that's off the hand. That's nearly 300 off the hands though, in the wind.
Well over.
Real good, real good. That's the sweet spot, every bit of it. There's Junior's first home run in like, it's been a long time.
Happens all the time, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ooh, another one. Towards the end on that one too. Still get out to good. That's a shot.
Yeah, that one felt good.
That ball. I mean, that's pieced off the sweet spot. You can feel it. So just real quick, either of those, would you game either of them out of the wrapper?
Probably not.
Stiff,
Probably
basically?
not. Yeah, but I'll say both stiff. The ball jumps off both of them pretty well. I think this one comes off a little hotter to start with. But
so good sweet spot's not overly forgiving so far.
correct.
So it kind of makes sense with the Lambrite too. I know the Lambrite started a little bit lower compression. These were both closer to 265. Like I've talked about, we'll come back and get more swings if we need to. All right, now the junior's done. We're up to right at 120 swings. I actually looked at the radar here a second ago. I think it said 117. Some don't register. Obviously, we don't have the sound playing, so I don't know which ones are registering, which ones aren't. But all right, so real quick from Junior, between the two of them, at this point, about 120 swings, does either one or both feel game ready? Like, would you be willing to game them?
I would say you're a lot closer to being game ready with this one than you are with this one. It's not a knock on this one. I hit some really good balls and it has a very good sweet spot. I feel like this option is a little bit more forgiving. I feel like the competitive edge was easier to control, like as far as cutting the ball, moving the ball around. But again, you know, this one right here, I feel like this has the potential to have a better sweet spot if you give it the amount of swings that it might need. Currently, as they stand, I'm going with the competitive edge. Cool. Me personally, anyway.
Sweet. So yeah, like again, that's 4 hitters in, right around 120 swings. 3 of them have preferred the competitive edge by just a little bit more forgiving. 2 of them, I think, said hotter sweet spot to them. Other 2 have the hotter sweet spot to the Ervine. Sorry, I got some semis out there. They have one downside to being at this field. Let's go ahead and keep swinging them, kind of see where we're at. Luckily, weather hasn't changed by too much other than a slight breeze still blowing in, so that's not a big deal, but we're still right in the mid 80s range. So as long as the balls don't feel cooked, we'll try to get more, but let's just keep going and see where they're at. Now you can see the ball just spinning. Got tons of backspin. Which of the 2 did you like better?
This one felt better.
That one felt better?
This one felt better.
Better sweet spot, more forgiving, kind of both?
Both.
Weighting wise, so Joe normally swings somewhere, he just really depends, but he's kind of a 26 end load type of guy. So obviously these are slightly heavier, but I know for a fact, knowing Joe, he can swing the heavier ones. It's just the 26 is what he gets. But so we like the full ounce better. Again, they both kind of have those tackier barrels. You can kind of see it. It looks like it's kind of causing a little more backspin, which is working out well. But they're jumping off of both. They both have a definite sweet spot sound at this point. Forgiveness-wise, you feel like either one wasn't forgiving, or they're both pretty forgiving at this point?
This is more forgiving than this one.
That one? Okay. So we've got kind of the hotter sweet spot, in his opinion, on the CE, on the Ervine, with a little bit more forgiveness on the CE. Keep this thing going. All right, so about 150 swings here with both. And for the most part, I'm in agreement kind of what we heard so far. Obviously, this one feels a little bit lighter, makes sense. Half ounce end load, right at that 27 sticker weight. I know it's 27 and a half, full ounce here, but sweet spot on both are great. I would say pretty similar performance as far as that goes. So far, CE's a little bit more forgiving, but I do think a couple of them came off better with the Ervine. Again, it's getting hotter out here. 85 degrees, second round of balls, so that can make a difference as well. What we're gonna do, head home, come back Sunday a few days from now, swing these again. So we'll test them before we swing them on Sunday, see where they're at 150, try to get up to about that 250 swing mark, and then hopefully we can get a different field on Sunday, get live velo during that portion, and you'll be able to see kind of where these sit at what point do they really open up. But either way, they feel great. I do think the Lambright is still a little bit better at this 150 swing mark for me, but this new tech, I mean, I gotta imagine it's doing just fine with compression, just like the Lambright. It's definitely a game changer for Pure. I do think the Ervine is still available, only in 27 on the CE website. I haven't looked to see what's left in the competitive edge, but for anybody who wants to battle in BP a bunch, it's gonna open up. Good sweet spot. Honestly feels pretty true to sticker weight. These are gonna be some of those bats you're gonna wanna pick up. So we'll get that part 2 for you here in the near future, and then kind of throw that up there. But hopefully you enjoyed this first part, and again, stay tuned for part 2. All right, as mentioned, round 2 here with the competitive edge and the Tyler Ervine. Both these are right around 130 to 150 swings. We just threw them on the tester. They're both at 265 and just over 265, so still plenty of wiggle room. We're gonna go ahead, throw another 100 swings on them, kind of see where they end up at that point. As mentioned before, we do have some velo issues with the cell towers out here, but what we've kind of figured out is that cell's random reading spit out about 84 miles an hour every single time. So I've got the min on our radar currently set to 88 or 87, something like that. So with a couple guys, you're not going to see radar numbers pop up, just especially if they're not hitting that number consistently, but we are going to have that there, so at least you'll get some of that radar information and whatnot. Hopefully we'll be back over at the Apodaca fields, that baseball field we normally hit on here in the very near future. They've got some baseball stuff wrapping up, so we should get that field back, and then obviously we'll be able to go back to kind of the normal. So let's get some swings on these, try to beat this windy season. New Mexico's still a little drunk. Why windy season's still here, we're not really sure, but we know right now we're at about 7 to 8 miles per hour with 12 gusts blowing directly in. It's fine. Hopefully it won't mess with the audio too bad. But here in about 2 hours, we're expecting to really kick up, and obviously video won't be usable at that point. So let's get some swings on them, see how they perform.
100 miles per hour. Miles per hour.
98 off the hands, it's not bad.
88 miles per hour. 103 miles per hour.
Yeah, that 103 spot, that's definitely the sweet spot though. You can feel the crack off of it.
105 miles per hour.
Whew, 105, little knuckling seed.
100 miles per hour.
100 gets us a one hop to the 360 marker, so.
100 miles per hour. 94 miles per hour.
Who cares about wind? Oh yeah, cross our berm? Yeah, so we're kind of in the same boat as the first 150 swings though. The sweet spot's still very, very hot. I just don't feel like the barrel's completely opened up yet, which makes sense from the compression, but we'll talk about more in the final thoughts. But you could definitely game it. You just got to catch that sweet spot.
90 miles per hour.
So that's the perfect example. Let's see where this ball lands. So even with the wind, I mean, we're not too far from the 360 mark, so we'll cut out the good. I caught that one low, you can feel it in the hands, right? So you lose that crack sound, which you wouldn't expect off sweet spot, but for me, who, in my mind, it's not overly forgiving, I guess to be able to miss like that on a bat that's testing 260, 265, and land at 340-ish with wind blowing in, it is forgiving. It's just the way like the Lambright performed and the point we got to that one too. You just kind of know where the potential is, I think. But it's forgiving enough that you could easily game it right now. You just got to understand you're going to get some sting off the hands when you miss because it is a stiffer bat and it's not broken in all the way.
95 miles per hour.
Like that was slightly towards the end. Definitely wasn't quite the sweet spot, but we're easily gone like on a line. And you know, because you hear, like you'll be able to hear it and I can hear it. There's a crack sound off the sweet spot. Hands wise, you can almost feel the crack as it cracks. So that one was just missed on it. But again, you can't want more than that with still blowing. I mean, yeah, the wind's still blowing dead in right where we hit it through. So yeah, and as a reminder, these are all Razzo Pro-Ms and some Thunder Zien Pro-Ms, but no hardcores, no classic Ms, no super dupers, nothing like that.
107 miles per hour. 106 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's these new piers are just, they're definitely built different. They did a great job.
105 miles per
God,
hour.
that's sizzling off. And there's a little bit of sting on the hands. I don't think I caught the sweet spot just right. I think it was slightly low and we're talking 105 on a line. I'm excited to see, these are all 12 inches we've swung. Twisted Tees are coming out soon. ASA and U-Trip. We're working on grabbing those and doing some testing, seeing how the 13s perform.
98 miles per hour.
Well, that seems like a good one to end on with Ervine. So, between all of us, we're up to 200, maybe a little more than 200. I'll look at the pocket radar, see if I can get an exact number, but a little over 200 swings. We're gonna go ahead, let these sit in the shade for a little bit, let this sit in the shade for a little bit, while we swing the CE, and then we'll see where the final test is at. But you can tell it's opening up more. It's still got plenty of potential, yet, as you've seen, super forgiving. Well, based off the numbers, which is what I like having the velo set up, super forgiving off the sweet spot, great on the sweet spot. That last one, 98 on the line, into our trees, just to the right of the light pole, which puts us right at about 375, I believe, just because it's hard to see, but there's a sign gate over there. That's 395. So it's definitely doing great with these balls. What I like about the stiffer barrel too, is if you're looking for something that's gonna hit the softer 52 type balls, or let's say you're out in Georgia, Florida, and the balls are getting mushy, things like that, the higher compression or even the stiffer barrels really perform well, and that's why I really like DeMarini. Even with those new APC techs, as long as you don't break them too far in, those are great. Louis still my favorite probably for those, and this is gonna be right up there with it. So let's see how the CE performs. We'll all get kind of at another 100 swings with that one, and then be done with that, go with final compression, final thoughts. All right, we kind of saw how the Ervine opened up. Again, the Ervine's at 12-inch 1 ounce. Now we got the CE back out, which again, if you remember from a little bit earlier in the video, this was pretty much everyone's favorite as far as forgiveness and really performance through the first portion of the video. So we'll see how it stacks up, kind of go from there. I'm still partial to the Ervine. I like that 1 ounce end load, but again, that's why we have multiple guys out here. We're with all rankings. I think we mentioned before, junior, depending, he'll play with C teams every now and then, but he is still, actually that's not true, he got bumped. So he is C, plays a lot of D now, there's not a lot of C around here. James, the lefty you've seen on the video, he's D ranked. Keith, you saw out here, I think he's back to C, but he's bouncing between D and C, plays some military ball. And then Joe, who was on the first portion, I can see him on the second portion, he's working, but he plays with me in C as well. Well, with our C, now I guess B team, we got mostly bumped because we went to some bigger tournaments. But so we got a little bit of a mix of everything out here, just so we can kind of get you as many opinions as possible kind of on these bats.
105 miles per hour.
Okay, that's a good first one.
95 miles per hour.
95 enough to cut through the wind? Oh, easily. Easily. Off the top of the electrical box, which you probably can't tell in the video, that light pole is about 2 feet inside of the fence. But off the top of the electrical box is plenty to get over. So, I don't know, through 2 swings, maybe we're just more locked in, but ball seems to be jumping a little bit better off the CE.
95 miles per
Oh, that's
hour.
a bad swing. Thank goodness the piers are forgiving. Yeah, gone.
112
And
miles per hour.
oh, 112, you hear that? No, that's just the radar picking up every now and then poorly. But that's one of those too where I could feel my hands dropping. But I think this tackier barrel helps spin that ball at times. Caught it wrong, got the 95, and that ball just spun. So the forgiveness is definitely, I think, so far feels better to me still on the CE. The sweet spot itself, I think, still feels slightly better on the Ervine.
98 miles per hour.
Woo, that got out on a line.
105 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's tough to feel.
101 miles per hour.
Just feels so good off the sweet spot. I don't even, like, you get the crack noise, but with hands, you just don't even know that it's coming off.
That competitive edge.
96 miles per
That
hour.
was very much the hands. I felt every bit of the sting or rattle, whatever you want to call it. And we got 96 on the line. I'll take it every time.
106 miles per hour.
106, there it is.
98 miles per hour.
Yeah, so again, I don't know what I did wrong with that swing, but I caught hands, or a little bit, I mean, I shouldn't say hands, but lower. You get that crack on the hands. It's not a sting, but a crack. But again, 98 on a line, that's in our gap. You can worry about your hands as you're jogging into the second on a double.
94 miles per hour.
There's that, hit it higher than you want to, and it carries a mile. Over our berm, you see the bounce over there. So, yeah, between the two of them, and you kind of saw both the other guys talk about them as they finished swinging as well, but I still think competitive edge, a little more forgiving. Barrel doesn't feel quite as stiff as the Ervine. I'm sure they're pretty much the same tech, haven't dropped at the same time, but in my opinion, it doesn't feel quite as stiff. You get more of a crack off the Ervine sweet spot. Not that it makes a difference. I think we only saw 1 mile per hour gain on the Ervine, I think. I'd have to go back and look at all the swings. But either way, both are great. If you like a half ounce end load, obviously CE, full ounce Ervine. I still really like the Lambrite. I know we got more swings on it, but you can't go wrong with any 3 of them. They all feel great, stiff handles, so you don't get all that extra flex. Pier did a great job with them. We're gonna throw, like I said, in the shade, pick some of this stuff up. We'll come back, get a final compression, but I don't see compression being even remotely an issue, seeing as our first 200 swings, or sorry, 150 swings only dropped it to 265 and like 270 respectively. All right, I've had enough sun for one day, so we're gonna test these in the dugout over here at this field because it is a scorcher out here at this point. But our Ervine competitive edge have been sitting for a while, seeing as we had to actually switch fields for the second review we did today due to some field stuff. But both of these bats are at 250-ish swings. Again, at the 150 swing mark, someone was testing at nearly 275, 260, something like that. Now we're sitting right at 250, and that's USSSA stamp up right there. So kind of what we expected. So right around that 250 swing mark has brought us down to kind of what you would expect would be kind of your game ready compression point. We'll quarter turn one time just to see if there's a difference. If we didn't rotate the barrel maybe enough, something like that. Yeah, and you can see a little difference there. We're at like 260, 265. So between 250 and 265 is where we're at that 250 mark. Either way, nothing whatsoever to worry about as far as compression goes there. Wasn't expecting to have anything to worry about because I assume they kind of use the same tech compression-wise as the Lambrite. Here on the CE, same situation. This one was testing a little bit lower at the 150 mark. This one was at 260. And now we're sitting, same thing, 260, 265. So that one still hasn't moved since our 150 swing mark, and we're now at 250 swings. And quarter turn just to see again how we were rotating this thing out. I went too far there. There we go. Same thing, 265. So we're pretty much at 265 with all of them. We have the one side at about 250 or a little higher with the Ervine, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in the final thoughts. All right, and we're now complete here with the Pure Ervine and the Pure Competitive Edge. Again, 12-inch 1 ounce, 12-inch half ounce. And all in all, I mean, if you saw the Lambrite review, you kind of got an idea of what we were expecting to see out of these. Honestly, very, very similar in overall performance. However, they each kind of have their own positives and not really negatives really with any of them, but their main positives. So starting with the Ervine, this one for me took a little longer, and for everybody took a little longer to truly open up and feel real good. But what we noticed was in this second session, once we got that pocket radar set up over at Dona Ana, is that even though it didn't feel overly forgiving, we were missing the sweet spot, the speeds told us that it was. And so what I think it really was is that because it's a stiffer barrel, stiffer handle, and the sweet spot felt so good, is that when you were getting those misses, the misses just didn't feel great, whether it's sound or on the hands. But in the end, the performance-wise, who really cares? So just know that Pure's actually done a really good job of making sure you're getting the sound and feel change to go, hey, I missed that sweet spot, missed where I wanted to hit it, but they're also ensuring you're still getting performance. So, yep, I know I can make a change to make it improve better, but I'm still going to get performance well enough to hopefully kind of get me on base, hit a home run if that's what you need, whatever it might be. So for me, the Ervine sweet spot was a little bit hotter than the Competitive Edge, but wasn't quite as forgiving. For the other group that swung with us, you saw there was a few more guys in that first portion, two more people there towards the end, but they kind of all liked the Competitive Edge a little bit more. I actually, if I was going to game one of these two, would go with the Ervine personally because I like the 1 ounce end load. Just know if you're somebody who normally swings kind of at 26 and a half, 27-ish, but you've got models that the end loads aren't super prominent, I would probably stick with the 26 1 ounce with this because Pure's done a great job of making sure you know you've got a 1 ounce end load. So it does put extra kind of weight to that one. So the 27 1 ounce is in fact a 27 with kind of that extra bit. And then with the Competitive Edge, again, same type of thing. Started out a little stiff, but we expected that. Both bats, again, and I didn't mention a second ago, but compression-wise, holding great as well. This one's still showing us about 265. The Ervine was between 250 and 265, so still wiggle room to even get better, and they're both incredibly forgiving. This one, to me, felt like the entire barrel pretty much performed the same. Obviously, there was a little better performance off the sweet spot, but you got that forgiveness where, yes, you could tell you didn't quite hit the sweet spot, but it wasn't similar to the Ervine in the sense that you got a completely different sound and feel. But it just overall seemed like it was performing generally the same up and down the barrel. And so that's why I talk about Ervine's sweet spot was hotter, but then you've got a slight drop off in the misses, where this one's going to kind of give you that overall higher performance with maybe not quite as hot of a sweet spot, but they're both still great. And if you're a half ounce kind of fan, this one we swung as a 27 and a half, and it feels a little heavier than most 27 and a halves. Like I've swung like Brady's, let's say, for instance, and then the Twisted Mistress from Yates. So again, if you're somebody who's riding that borderline of, hey, I like 27s, or I want 26 and a half, 27 and a half, I would probably go 26 and a half. But again, if you like that extra weight and you're not going to sit there, like I would game this one, the 27 and a half, and the Ervine 27. But if I'm going to hit a bunch of BP, these might take a toll after a while. Like I know today with a couple of other guys as well, they didn't take as many swings consecutively just because it's a lot of extra weight. So just something to keep in mind. But both of them have the stiff handles, stiffer type barrels. You're definitely not getting those soft spots, which is real nice. The handles, they're not like they don't feel super thin. Like I don't think they're quite as thin as maybe the Monsters, but they're definitely a thinner handle, which I like as well. Makes it nice and smooth, kind of get it through the zone. Overall, great products from Pure. Whether you want to pick either of these up, I know they have them on the Competitive Edge website. I'm not sure what weights are left. I know there's plenty of Pure reps out there as well that still have some for them as well. So if you're not seeing the weight you want, reach out to us. We'll put you in touch with somebody that'll get you kind of squared away. But you can't go wrong whether it's the Competitive Edge, Ervine, or even the Lambrite at this point. We'll try to get the Twisted T in hand for both the USA model and the USSSA model and get those out as soon as possible so you can see how those 13 inches are performing. But again, great products from Pure. I know these last couple drops for them have been, for me, huge improvements. I thought their older barrels were a little too soft for me. I know plenty of people liked them, so nothing against those. That's personal preference, but these new ones are definitely kind of a game changer for me as well. So with that being said, hopefully this was informative for you. It helps you kind of decide whether or not you want to pick up one of these new Pures. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Thanks for supporting the channel.